From the Podcast Detroit studios and Zoom everywhere else, The Making of Champions. Professional boxers inspiring amateur athletes to become champions. Presented by Joe Louis, champion of them all, Bourbon, in association with USA Boxing, Golden Gloves of America, and BigFightWeekend.com. Join your hosts, Tanya Cole and Marquise Johns, with special guests from around the world of amateur and pro boxing, celebrating the legacy of Joe Louis, whose status as the first African-American national hero showed the importance of being a leader and a role model inside and outside of the ring.
Welcome to The Making of Champions. So we're here today in the aftermath of Zeta, but we just wanted to take a few minutes just to kind of recap some of our episodes and to talk about what's next for The Making of Champions. Marquise, you okay down there in Florida?
Absolutely, Tanya. It's pretty good down here. Somehow we avoided most of this. It sprinkled and rained overnight, but nothing really insane on our end here.
Excellent. And so what have been the so whats for you thus far on our podcast? I've got a few notes here, but I'm wanting to hear from you.
One of the biggest so whats I've learned when I'm talking to guests so far on these guests was when we had Greg Vendetti on. He was pretty much one of the few fighters that we talked to that pretty much had a set plan of pretty much doing 10 years of boxing and out. That is a big thing I have heard on a lot of these talking to fighters where they want to, work, they want to get in the ring, but they don't want to be seen fighting in their mid 40s or 50s currently, like we're like Mike Tyson and all these other guys are making comebacks. I thought his speech of saying, hey, he wants to open up business gyms and training sessions, teach the youth, and then get out was pretty so what to me.
Yeah, that is phenomenal. That is. I made a few notes here that while none of our boxers lacked in personality at all, while they may, appear reticent about some of the subjects we talked about, when it came down to talking about themselves and talking about their craft, which is boxing, they all were on fire. There was something about their eyes and their smile that just lit up the entire screen. So I appreciated that about them. I also noted that they were all extremely focused and dedicated, as you were talking about, although some may have had a clearer plan than others going into the future, but that the family, whether it be the coaches, their parents, or their siblings, or their significant other, that's who they sort of leaned on for their strength.
Absolutely, Tanya. And to piggyback off that, pretty much every fighter we have had on, that's the one connection that we have all made. It's either been talking with them and how close they are with either their trainers, their significant others, or their immediate family. When we had Malik Hawkins on and Lamont Roach about their moms, or when we had Rose on with her spouse talking about how they went for everything, or when we had Greg on, who's pretty much not Greg, but when we had on Clay Collard, when talking about his trainer, and how pretty much they were the dynamic duo of Batman and Robin. And it's amazing how that, as well as their passion to succeed in everything they want to do, to be the top of what they want to do, no matter what sport, action, or event it is. That's what really drives all these fighters.
Right, absolutely. And kind of noting that, along with their passion and their dedication to the sport, I have a few questions. I'm wondering if us as fans, or if the sport has been as dedicated to them, maybe, as we all should be. I often noted that some of them referred to being underpaid. And while they gave acknowledgement to their support system, their family, their significant others, they didn't talk a lot about their league or their organization or the sponsors with respect to their fights. So I wonder about that and what the future of boxing holds. So what do you think about say that again, I'm sorry?
To piggyback off that, the way the system is set up is that they're pretty much, in the grand scheme of things, we're all part of the machine, in the machine of boxing. And the way it's set up is for them pretty much to do as much and make as much as they can. Give or take how they get there or when they get there, and then try to eventually get out. That was the one thing I realized when we were speaking with Clay Collard, where he mentioned how he had to go through other promoters because he was actually a whole different other league, because he was coming from MMA and he was being underpaid there, and decided to give boxing more of a go round to try and make as much money as he possibly can. And now he's able to, when we talked to him last time, pretty much help build his gym for some train and reset. it's a lot of that going on. And it's interesting with how the system is set up for them not exactly being them paid like at their current level great, but it is a stability in a system for it to set themselves up to be whenever they get to that level at the championship ranks.
Got it. And what do you think that our viewers would like to see more of on the Making of Champions? Or should we ask them?
We should ask them, and I'm going to lay this out to everyone who's listening and listening to this episode as well, to relay back to us over at the Joe Louis Bourbon Facebook page, or at me on Twitter at Weak Sauce Radio or Big Fight Weekend. Absolutely. Now, I'm going to throw this out to the listeners and the viewers of the show who are catching us either on the Joe Louis Bourbon Facebook page or on YouTube, or if you can just contact us there, or on me at Twitter at Weak Sauce Radio, to tell me what fighters and questions that you want to know about. The one thing I've liked about doing the show, Tanya, and I think I told you this as well.
Right, we've talked about it.
Yeah, we definitely get to talk to people, and we get to let them open up about them. It's the one thing I've realized. For example, when we had our recent guest on, Abner Mares,
I love it.
He had before the pandemic, and you can see him when we talked to him light up about pretty much hawking his merchandise at AbnerMaresOfficial.com. He was all about that, and pretty much talking about themselves. And it's the one thing about them. Everyone can talk about the X's and O's. We all can do that. We can talk about how they get there, but it's all about the passion and the drive to get to this level that I've always found to be interesting with them.
Right. And I know that while you have the mask, I got some bracelets in and a couple of T-shirts in from Michelle Rosado that basically say boxing is not dead. And so I was inspired by her story as well. So for our viewers, we'd love to know what you'd like to see more of on the Making of Champions. And how can we use this content to support the next generation of champions? And lastly, what do you think makes a champion? Thank you so much. This is Tanya Cole, the Making of Champions podcast with Joe Louis Bourbon. And Marquise, tell us again how to reach you.
Absolutely. You can always find me at Twitter at Weak Sauce Radio or on BigFightWeekend.com for all my boxing stories.
All right. Thank you so much out there. Be safe.